Hello friends, and welcome to my first video on this channel. I apologize in advance for the mic quality. I did leave my good mic somewhere else, so I'm really sorry that this is kind of my first impression with you guys. But my name is Hannah, and for the next few weeks I'll be showing you guys my art processes throughout Inktober and talking to you a bit about my time in the art community, how you can get involved in the art community too, if that's something that you're interested in, whether you're an artist or not. If you don't know what Inktober is, it's a month-long art challenge where each day of October you get a different prompt that you have to work with for that day. There's an official list that goes up at the start of the month and it changes every year, but some people will make their own list and their own themed list, or even just go without a list and will just ink once a day depending on what they want to do. This event is just really fun because it's open to everybody. You don't have to be a part of the art community to enter it. It's just a fun little thing for you to do for yourself. And it's just a great way to get involved in the community if you are interested in the community. I should preface this video actually by saying that this is my first year doing Inktober, so I didn't quite follow the official 2019 prompt list. I focused a little more on an old list from 2017 because it had a lot more personalized pieces and a lot of pieces that I found interesting for the prompts. I did switch between the two lists actually a couple times because I'm a very indecisive person and I'm very picky with the things I want and I like to draw. And that's something that's really nice about Inktober, is you don't have to stick to the prompt list the whole time. You can do whatever you want, but you're probably here for the art, so we should probably get into that now. Alright, so I did make a bit of an oopsie right off the bat with week 1. I got really excited about doing Inktober for the first time and really excited about the first prompt. And I didn't actually wait till I got home to record myself inking it, and therefore I don't have the video of myself inking the piece. Whoops, that's my bad. If you want to see the piece and learn more about it, I'll put links in the description to my Instagram and to my website, where the pieces will all be posted one by one when these videos go up. Gotta keep you guys waiting anyway, right? But if you guys are interested enough, I'm considering making the piece a larger painting in the future, so if you express enough interest in the comments or on my Instagram, I might even record myself painting it for you guys to enjoy. Anyway. So because of my little mistake, we're actually going to be kicking it off with day 2 first, which according to the prompt list I used by Instagram user Saikara, it's your zodiac sign is a cat. And oh boy, this one was really hard for me. I'm an Aquarius, which is the water bearer, and that sign didn't quite scream cat to me. I considered trying my luck with the official prompt list, with the prompt mind list, because I thought I had something in mind for that, but I ended up not. And it still wasn't quite doing it for me, so I try to have a lot of my pieces sketched out the day before in pencil, because I like to know what I'm getting into before I start it, and I have a lot of mistrust with myself with inking things. So I was really panicking on this one the closer it got to the end of the day. Eventually I started looking up depictions of the water bearer, and if you've seen the water bearer, it's usually a woman who's just kind of holding a vase and there's water coming out of it, and a lot of it is in Greek style artwork, and it's very Greek centric in the way the vases are drawn. So I started to get a little bit of a motivation to do something in that degree. So some of the vases actually also reminded me of those creepy little cat sarcophaguses. If you don't know the little cat sarcophaguses I'm talking about, I definitely recommend you look that up. They're very strange because they're just tall vases with kind of cat heads carved into the top of them, and they're just really creepy. But I really like the idea of this kind of cat head. So I kind of decided, what if it was the skull of a cat instead of an actual cat, and it was using the water to form a kind of body in a very mythological sense. So this piece kind of ended up representing the way I like to view mythology and the way I like to view very strange creatures that kind of take advantage of their surroundings. That's something I'm really a fan of. I'm really a fan of the kind of like taking back of nature, where kind of you'll see skeletons being overgrown with like vines, and overall it's just something I'm really fond of, so I liked being able to experiment with this concept in water, and overall I had a lot of fun with this piece. It was a little more out of my comfort zone, and you'll see sometimes in the drawing I do cut out for a little while to take a break, and I come back and some things have changed, so I apologize for that, but that's the fun in it. So moving on to day 3, we have possibly my favorite piece of the entire week with my favorite prompt of the week, which was teeth. I love drawing teeth, I love drawing skulls, I love drawing all that weird kind of witchy stuff, I find them really interesting. Inktober is a great way to stay in your comfort zone with your work or move out of it and experiment. Even if you don't really consider yourself an artist or don't feel motivated as one but want to try new things, I definitely recommend looking into these monthly art challenges. Inktober, Smoggist, Mermaid, they're all really great ones to look into. They're also a really great way to get into the community because a lot of the members of the community will either participate in these or will promote these as events that they're very interested in, they're very passionate about. For teeth, I ended up wanting to push the boundaries a little bit. I came into teeth because I personally own a deer skull, and I wanted to work with that from a life perspective, and I wanted to draw it from the bottom where you can see all the teeth on the top jaw. But I wanted to go a little out of my comfort zone, and I wanted to be a little less safe than just working with a still life. So I went and I researched a lot of different skulls, and I wanted to try to combine them in a way where they look almost realistic and combine them into this cohesive but an amalgamation of just teeth and bone where you can kind of pick up on certain animals, but it's also its own weird little creepy little thing that you probably would never want to exist. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this one, and I really just liked the way it came out. So for day 4 Crystal, this was the only prompt this week that I went into knowing exactly what I wanted to do and exactly how I wanted to execute it. I knew the placement of everything, I knew the composition I wanted. Everything really has that one thing that they love to draw and draw constantly without thinking, without any reference, and crystals are kind of those things for me. I kind of draw them on my homeworks. I draw them if we're doing something in class that's not really important or if it's something I've already done. I've seen people who draw eyes on their homework. I've seen people who draw just triangles, little doodles of mouths. I personally sometimes I'll connect triangles together and try to form straight lines with them. If you catch yourself doodling these types of things when you're stressed or bored, maybe you should look more into being a little bit more serious with art, because I found that being more serious with art is kind of a really good stress relief. And a lot of people don't really realize that you don't have to be, as they say, artistically inclined to draw for yourself, because it's not something that you're really doing for fame or for fortune, so it doesn't have to be a perfectionist piece or something that people really expect to come from a professional artist. It doesn't have to be big or extravagant. Just paint lines on a canvas and call it a day. If that's what you want to do, if that's what helps you relieve stress, then it's great. You should really follow through with it. Art is really just something that belongs to everyone and something that anyone can do. So if doodling calms you down or relieves stress and you want to try to expand, don't quit because you don't think you're talented. You have to just keep going. Even if you don't show it to anyone, it's still something that you did and it's something that made you happy. So you should really keep that, because you really have to hold on to those things that make you happy. Everyone is an artist in their own way, and you really shouldn't feel like just because some people are very good at one thing that you aren't very good at, that you shouldn't put yourself out there at all. So with that being said, I want to move on to day 5, which is now where I want to exemplify that point of kind of moving out of your comfort zone. I hopped over to the official prompt list for this one, and I honestly thought I would end up not producing anything for day 5, which the prompt was build. It was a prompt I couldn't see myself completing because it didn't really fit into anything that I was interested in. I considered making another amalgamation of skulls, but I already did that, and I felt like it wouldn't have been creative. But if you see something that you don't think you can complete, there's really nothing wrong with that. If you follow one of these monthly challenges and you find something you don't want to do, you can skip it. Take a break for a day. You shouldn't force yourself to do something that you won't like. These challenges can be really tiring sometimes if you're not familiar with them or if you're not used to drawing for super long periods of time, and you shouldn't force yourself to do something you think you won't like. These challenges really can put some pressure on you, and you really want to hold on to yourself, and you don't want to make it something that you don't like to do anymore. Personally, when I was younger, I really liked to read. but as soon as school was like, hey, you got to start reading all these books, I kind of fell out of reading because it just became a pressure and it became a job, and it can ruin something you really like if you just let it take over. I ended up completing day 5 because I ended up finding an old sketchbook of mine that I had tried to complete over the summer and really ended up falling off of because I'm kind of bad at sticking with these things. And I had drawn a bird during one of the presentations when I worked at a summer camp. It's a Carolina wren, if I remember right, and I felt inspired by it. No one is forcing you to do anything. If you feel like you can't do a day, then don't do it. This is something you're doing for you. This isn't really something you're doing for other people. And the same goes for people who may already be artists, who are taking commissions, or have a weekly comic that they upload, or things that they upload specifically on a schedule that their fans are kind of expecting them to produce. There's nothing wrong with taking a break. You can tell your commissioner that their piece may take a little bit more time, or tell your fans that you're on a little mini hiatus and the comic will update maybe next week. Just remember that your health and well-being comes above your art, and you shouldn't feel the need to apologize for not being able to complete something when you told somebody you would, especially if that thing is something free for them to look at, like personal art or a comic. With all that stuff, you do come first, and I think a lot of people need to remember that. So we're moving on to day 6 with a funny little story, and that story is, I don't like this piece. I really, really don't like this piece. I don't like anything about it, and that's okay. It's not a piece I forced myself to do. As I mentioned last time, if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't have done it. It's a piece that got lost in translation. It didn't come out the way I wanted. I wasn't able to convey what I was trying to convey with it, and that's fine. You have to accept your failures in art. You have to accept when you don't like something. It all comes with being an artist, whether you're professional or just starting out. You're always going to have a piece that you can't stand to look at, and you may find constant flaws even in those pieces that you do, but you just have to keep going. You have to work from your mistake, and that's something especially important to those of you who are just starting out. I found myself when I was younger looking at a lot of pieces and finding flaws in them. I saw it in high school when I took a proper art class, and I just kept finding things that I didn't like because I felt like my work was being judged, and I felt like I had to be the harshest judge. And you're going to be the harshest judge of your work. Art is a stress relief, but it can also be very stressful. And an important thing to remember is that every piece of art that you produce is a piece of you. And you have to remember that you need to love yourself to love your work, because if you don't like yourself as a person, you're not going to like your work, because your work is an extension of you. So even if you think something looks really bad, somebody else might see the beauty in it and somebody might enjoy it. So there might be some of you out there who think, wow, this piece is really cool, this piece is really, really well done, but I personally think, oh, I don't like this piece, I didn't get to convey what I wanted to, the composition's really off in my eyes. But even if you think it's bad, somebody's gonna like it, and that's what's great about art being accessible to everybody. And if you end up becoming comfortable enough to produce your art or put it out there, is you see so many different pieces of people because they are pieces of the person who made them, and you just need to find what you like, and you need to move on from your mistakes. And finally, we have day 7. It's probably the most Halloween-y piece of the entire week. I call it my redemption week because I didn't like day 6, as I said before. I had a lot of fun with this piece. It's a great mix between simple and detailed, and gave me a fun chance to work with multiple little pieces and adding them into the composition while not being the main subject matter. I really like doing the smoky skull. It's simple, it's cliche, but it's what I wanted to do. So if you want to do something that's cliche or it's been done before and you want to put your own twist on it, just go for it. There's really nothing wrong with being cliche, because if it makes you happy, then that's what you should do. You just really need to focus on making yourself happy with your work, because you can't just sit there and just want to make everybody else happy, because you might end up with a piece that you don't like personally, and you're just doing it for others to like your work more than you do. And that's not really the way you want to go when you're an artist. You want to like your work, even if others around you don't, because like I said, that work is an extension of you, and you want to like that work because you want to like yourself. and it's a great way to get it out there, even if you want to do something that's cliche. If it's what makes you happy, it's what you want to do. And this was a great way to end this week for me, because this was something that I had a lot of fun with. I wanted to do a cliche cauldron scene. I wanted to do a skull with little candles in it and a cauldron bubbling over and smoke with a skull in it. It was fun, and it was a great way to end the week. And so with that, that's all of week 1 completed, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like my work. I hope you stick with me into the future when I keep doing these Inktober pieces. I hope I get to paint for you guys and do a bunch of other stuff, and I'm just really happy that I'm able to put myself out on a platform, and I really hope that you guys continue to stick with me. I hope you help support me on my Instagram, on my WordPress page. I do take commissions, so if that's something you're interested in, you can email me and we can work something out. I want to interact with you guys more. I want to get you guys into the community. I want to learn who you are as people. Are you an artist? Are you not an artist but interested in getting into it? Just want to talk to you guys, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to show you what else I've done.